This is a 7-year-old child attempting to solve a problem.
Well, what do you see? What are you looking at?
I'm trying to figure out a way to do it.
A human being thinking. And this is an electronic digital computer, a man-made machine which, under man's guidance, is able to solve certain problems. Have they something in common, the human being and the machine?
Marshall McLuhan said that one day we would all live in a global village, an electronic community, interconnected by communications networks that would shrink the Earth.
I have a friend. He's smart. He's a computer, but he's also easy to use. All I have to do is put in one of these cards, and Smart teaches me things. He tells me when I'm right and when I'm wrong.
Imagine a world where every word ever written, every picture ever painted, and every film ever shot could be viewed instantly in your home via an information superhighway, a high-capacity digital communications network. What that would mean is you could transform your home into a mammoth interactive entertainment centre, with the odd stock exchange and shopping centre thrown in. It sounds pretty grand, but it all comes down to computers communicating. And in fact, that's already happening on something called the internet.
It was all leading me here, over and over and over again.
Edward L. Bernays, you're the father of public relations. What led you more than 60 years ago to see the need for public relations?
All of these different media actions that I believe have really contributed to where we are now in our worldview of we have got a corporate mentality of destroying what we don't like, taking it over, manipulation of it, because his learning from his uncle, Sigmund Freud, was utilized to his best ability with twisting people's view of what was good for them so that he could sell products to them.
We installed the internet on our computer just a short time ago, and I haven't been able to get the kids off it ever since.
I'm at Search Engine Strategies in San Jose and talking with Darren Johnson of Offermatica. One of the things that seems to be the theme is behavioral targeting. What is behavioral targeting, first of all?
Behavioral targeting is delivering an experience online based on what you know about the previous behavior of the visitor.
So what kinds of behaviors might you be looking at?
You know, we really look to keep it simple. You know, first-time visit versus second-time visit.
Okay, so that's one kind of behavior. People do things differently the first time than when they're familiar with the site, and so you're going to watch for that, and you could tell that if you put a cookie on them. The second time they come, you'll know that they've been there before, and you treat them differently. Okay, what other kinds of behaviors might you be able to target?
It's still very early. So almost all websites really lived and died based on ad revenue. And with that, so therefore without ad revenue, there would be, unlikely to have much content on the web. It was with all that, we were faced to make a decision. So we could do one of three things as we saw it. So we could just disable third-party cookies entirely, which would essentially remove the ability for ad tracking to work at all back in those days. So there are different technologies now that could be substituted, but back in those days, cookies were the really only viable method that one could do any form of real ad tracking. Two, we could do nothing. We could just leave the status quo there. Didn't feel that was right because, again, these tracking networks were violating the spirit of cookies. Or two, we could try to find a middle ground. And the middle ground that we actually ended up choosing was to bring cookies more into the user's viewpoint, and also to give the end user control over cookies. So both through the user having control to turn off third-party cookies entirely if that's what their choice was, to have finer grain controls, i.e. Allow third-party cookies to be used on some websites and not others. Options that would allow them to clear their cookies at the end of every web session, those sorts of things. So that's what we implemented. And essentially what we were saying is we want to support advertising on the web because it's the only revenue model, and the web is an important resource that needs to survive. But we also want to make sure that users have the choice of having high-end privacy, i.e. just turn it off, or they could still participate in the status quo. And in this case, defaults are very, very important, right? So we chose the default to be that third-party cookies remained on, and the user would have knowledge that cookies were being used. So we added icons and various other things, but not to turn them off by default, because turning them off by default would essentially mean that most users would probably never touch that, and then ad tracking would essentially be disabled across the web. Most people now ask me whether that was a good decision or not.
It's a little late for tears, isn't it, Barbara? Even though you didn't know it was going to happen today, you've still had your whole life to prepare for it. Of course, you've gotten into the habit of not being prepared. And now it's a little late, isn't it? You're a creature of habit, Barbara. We all are. Unfortunately, not all of your habits are good ones.
Do you ever hear voices arguing with one another?
Yes.
Yes. Tell me about that, could you?
Well, instead of they say dirty words back and forth to each other's.
Mm-hmm. More than one voice?
It's more than one person.
Mm-hmm. Man and a woman, or?
Men's and women's.
Yeah.
And they sound like young people voices too. It don't sound like a real old person voice.
Do they have arguments about you sometimes?
Well, sometimes some of them on one end will tell the next one to stop doing what they're doing and leave me alone.